we're a fully bootstrapped company, right? So we didn't come in with tons of funding and these different things to throw at it, where we spent our first marketing dollars probably 18 to 24 months ago. And so we're finally getting in front of a lot of different people.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Growth and Scaling Podcast. I am so excited today because we're talking about a topic that's near and dear to me. Before we jump into it, though, we're going to have Nick introduce himself. Nick, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Todd. My name's Nick Schrock. I'm the founder, CEO of Valoroo. And at Valoroo, we do very specifically, we provide staffing that's based out of the Philippines to logistics companies. So we take over a lot of their back-end work.
I love it.
Think tracking trucks, booking appointments, kind of everything that goes into the background of the logistics companies. And we do that at a very high level.
I love it. I love it. So you're able to dive into like the typical logistics person. Describe that to us, because a lot of people think logistics, all I think about is UPS or FedEx or something like that. What are you talking about when you talk logistics?
Yeah, so it's a great question because even the UPSs and the FedExes, most, yes, they have their own trucks. We see them driving around. But I'd say the vast majority of freight, the things business to business moving around the country, they are moved by independent owner operators, a guy that owns his own truck and he's driving. So with there being thousands of those, it makes it very, very difficult to communicate between the Walmarts, this truck driver, the manufacturer. So there's lots of moving pieces between setting the appointments, making sure they're there, having all the documentation. And it's the US economy has evolved and people in the US really don't want to do this work anymore. They don't want to make 200 phone calls a day, tracking down truck drivers, doing data entry. So that need arose and we built Valoroo to kind of solve that need. So the local teams that are working for these logistics companies in the States, they can focus on more strategic tasks, problem solving, things they actually want to do.
Right. Well, that brings up a big point across all industries, which is there's certain things that Americans just don't want to do anymore.
Right.
But going back to the specific problem you solve, like, how is that being received? Because I know that there's certain industries and certain niches that BPO work just does not kind of fit. How have you been able to resolve that?
So logistics is also, and it's not a young generation that typically owns these companies. But there is a lot of truck drivers are immigrant based, right? It's like come over, you buy a small truck and you drive there. So it's a very international community. So it's actually pretty well received as long as you do a good job.
I love it.
We've all been on the end of a customer service line with a cable company and you get transferred 7 times and you can't get your question answered. It's incredibly frustrating. If that same person with an accent would just solve your problem, everyone would be okay with it. It's the lack of the value and the quality that's really breeds hesitancy of outsourcing. So you and I were talking before this call. Our average person that we're hiring has 8 to 10 years of experience. Everyone's coming in with logistics experience. So it just allows us to have that higher quality approach where we're actually solving problems very quickly and putting a lot of effort into it. So the adoption's been really great.
I love it. I can totally see this working. I mean, honestly, I've been, for those that don't know, I have had a BPO outsourcing group in the Philippines since 2006. And I have never thought to go into this or even dabble in this industry, but I could totally see it working. I think you hit the nail on the head here. How have you been able to grow and scale this business? And now that we kind of know what you do, tell us about your growth process. How has this been going?
Yeah, so we have more than doubled every year since we got started, which was about 4 years ago.
Awesome.
It's obviously much easier than when you're small, but I really feel like we've hit product market fit over the last 6 to 12 months. Like just for an example, this year we're growing 10% month over month, right? To that last month, and we're just planning to do that this entire year. So it's just been a lot of fun. I mean, I know it's you've been somebody that scaled the company. It gets crazy. So just trying to stay
Yes.
ahead of it, fix things before they break, right? Hire before you need it,
Right.
things like that. But yeah, we've been growing and scaling very aggressively, especially as of late.
I love it. So tell me about that though, because you've got different pieces of what you're trying to solve. When I looked at your website, I see that you've got like different divisions, different skill sets, different things like that.
Mhm.
How do you know how many people in which area you need to put them in?
Yeah, and so this really starts, we really like to start small with organizations. As you mentioned, it's
Yeah.
just whether people aren't, even if they're sure about outsourcing, they're not sure about us. It's like, sure, we say we do a great
Yeah. Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
we do this, we're growing very rapidly. There's some proof in that. But we usually just like to start small with like a 2-person team or a 4-person team, somewhere
Right.
around that range, and just take over something with a lot of pain, like nights and weekends or something like this, so they
Right.
can actually get some of that time back. And we use that to kind of not only have buy-in for the ownership, but also the rest of the
Right.
organization. Because what outsourcing used to be was you hire 10 people in the Philippines and you fire 10 people in the States. It's just not how we do it, and that's
It's
not the
not the
case
same.
anymore. So once the onshore team realizes, it's like, wait, everyone didn't lose their job, and now I don't have to do this
Yeah.
work I hate. Let's see what else we can give them, and we kind of naturally grow from there. You mentioned a
I
few
love it.
different positions. It's all logistics, but as you can
Yeah.
imagine, an ARAP person is much different than someone that is bidding, working with these truck
Totally.
drivers and negotiating prices. That's much more of a sales role. So we'll segment
Totally.
into these. These segmentations already exist within the logistics industry. So it's very easy for us
Right.
to fit in. But from a recruiting and kind of staffing perspective, we'll take those, and we're obviously, the
Right.
CPA is not going to be a good cold caller, for example.
Yes, yes. Although you'd be surprised how well an architect does in cold calling.
Yeah.
Long story, we won't go there, but it's
I'll need,
interesting.
that'll be for another
So,
time. I'd be interested. Yeah.
so tell me about you. You mentioned the growth, and you mentioned also the kind of, you found your hot spot, you found your zone of genius, you found what your company really provides well. How did you figure that out? I mean, 2.5, 3 years into it, you finally dialed into the roles, or is it the integration, or what was it that's allowing you to go 10% month over month this year to really grow?
Yeah, and I think it's more of, I don't think we're driving more value than we did in year 2, right? We were very good. We have
Interesting.
incredible customer retention, right? We still have almost all of our customers we have from year 1 and 2, and so
That's
on and so
awesome.
forth. I think it might be
Yeah,
more of a makeup of, we're a fully bootstrapped company, right? So we didn't come in with
love it.
tons of funding and these different things to throw at it. Where we spent
Yeah,
our first marketing dollars probably 18 to 24 months ago. And so we're
nice.
finally getting in front of a lot of different people. I'd say I wish I could say the majority, but quite a few more logistics companies know who we even are than they did 2 years
Yeah,
ago. So it's just
yeah,
a lot more effort spent into sales and marketing and just getting in front of more people. So that way, when you do have a very good product, which is our service,
right,
and it drives a
right.
ton of value, once that gets in front of more people, we're just seeing a snowball effect, because then they tell other people,
Right.
referral basis, and it's just, it's kind of a little bit, it's not organic because it's sales and marketing, but it's snowballed from
Yeah.
there.
Well, some of that's organic. I mean, some of it, the referral systems are. I look at those as very organic.
Right.
But tell me this. I mean, in your growth, you mentioned that you kind of start with a couple, you add a few more, you add a few more. How much of your growth has come from adding more value to existing client base as opposed to
Uh,
new
om-
client acquisition?
Almost all of it. Almost all of it. Yeah, because it's
Makes sense.
probably, I think 90% of our clients grow with us within the first 90 days, right? They see that proof of
Awesome.
concept, and then they like I said, operations, we help them. And then they're like, well, we could
Yeah.
use help in accounting, and they add some seats there. And so we add, you know, probably between 5-ish logos. So sorry, logo meaning a new customer, right? 5 or 6 new customers every
Right.
single month. But the rest of that growth is from our existing client base, where they're expanding in other teams, they're pushing us into other divisions and different things like that. So I'd say by far is most with current client expansion.
Hey there, friends. Todd Westra here. I want to thank you so much for listening to this episode, but I also want to take just a few seconds to let you know about a project that we've been putting together for the last several months, and we're finally launching it, called the Captain's Council. You see, as a CEO or operator of a business, it can feel like you get stuck in your own head a lot of the time. You get challenges that you don't know how to resolve. You get people causing problems in your leadership team that you don't know how to resolve, and it's so hard to overcome those things by yourself. You don't have to anymore. Join the Captain's Council. Captain's Council is a group of other CEOs and operators and owners of businesses where we come together once a month for several hours to discuss the biggest challenges you're facing. You express to the council of 8 to 10 people about what's going on. Where do you feel stuck? And these other people are in the same boat as you. They're running and operating their own businesses. They're your peers. They help you kind of dissect what's happening and help you see things that you may not have seen all by yourself. If you don't have a good, strong network of people around you, come join the Captain's Council. This is going to be something that will change the way you run your business and open your eyes to opportunities that you have never seen without the help of your peer group. Come check it out, captainscouncil.com. I love it. That's awesome. That's impressive, man. I really can get behind this, because I think that a lot of people listening to this, they struggle with a couple of things that you've already been able to resolve. And I think that some of those things are, you've built more value for existing clients, which is awesome, because new client acquisition is hard. It's strenuous. It takes a lot of time and money. But adding more value to customers, can you just enhance that a little bit? Like, talk to us about that, because I think that's a boat that a lot of people miss. All they think about is new client acquisition. They don't think about adding more value. At what points do you feel like you don't want to go there versus the areas where you're like, okay, we did this with someone else, I know it's going to work? How do you kind of make those decisions?
Yeah, and it's very data driven, right? So and it's almost a 2-part question. So on one, driving value for current customers and driving value overall should be your only objective, right? It's like, of course, sales and marketing, it's much sexier. It's exciting to go out and get new customers and pitch deals. But if you're just churning them on the back end, it's so expensive, right? We throw the vast majority of our spend is invested early on when clients come on board, and then with training, with managing, with supporting these existing clients, it's just the vast majority of my effort personally, and therefore then within the organization. It's really the only thing that matters is continuously providing value and then staying ahead of the problems. Like, we're a staffing company. Sure, we could just provide the people, but if we can solve problems before they get to our customers, it's just it's almost a consulting approach on top.
And what's an example of that?
What's that? Example of that is...
What's an example of,
So, for example, if we find out that a logistics company doesn't have the right procedures in place for third shift. So things, honestly, it's like, hey, our crew's coming in the morning and things are delayed. It's not getting communicated to their end customer. And our agents are just following the standard operating procedures in place. They're just doing what they're told. But us as experts in logistics, it's like, no, we need to change this to now we reach out to their customers ahead of time, let them know this is going to be delayed, get this appointment rescheduled so it doesn't get refused, and you can therefore save them tens of thousands of dollars in fines. It's just like one
Totally.
small little thing like that. It's very easy to spot, but I'd say most BPOs don't speak up because it's not their job, right? Their job is to follow the
Agreed.
standard operating procedure. But if you can save them tons of money, you just build that partnership over the long term.
Agreed. You know, and for those listening, I gotta say something here about BPOs. They get a lot of bad rap because some people don't operate their BPO very effectively. And
Right.
by BPO, I mean business process outsourcing. And if you didn't catch on to that by now, that means you're an outsourcing company, BPO. But you know, some BPOs do it right, some people do it wrong. Talk to us about like when you were getting into this, because this isn't your lifelong ambition to do this, but
Mm-hmm.
as you've been getting into this world, what kind of things have you seen go wrong and what kind of things have you done wrong that you
Mm-hmm.
wish you wouldn't have done maybe and that you've tried to correct in the meantime to enhance your business model?
Yeah, and I'm this mistake I think everyone's made, right? At even outsourcing level of here, but it's and I think BPOs consistently, and I'd say it's the main problem with our industry, is everyone just trying
Yeah.
to find the cheapest talent, like the someone that'll work for the lowest, so that way you can, and it's a race to the bottom.
Right,
Where if
right,
you can
right.
honestly pay, and I'm not exaggerating here, $1 to $2 an hour more, you're going to get a substantially higher caliber person, which will then allow you to
Agreed.
provide a higher quality approach. And it blows my mind how many people have make this mistake. I've made it honestly in the US. It's like, hey, let's figure out how we
Yeah.
can get the cheapest sales rep in the room. And there, and
Right.
you do more, you end up spending so much more of your own time trying to build and mold that
True.
person instead of just going and getting a plug and play person that's been doing it for a decade, who's going to have immediate returns and be able to fund that. Say is a very
Agreed. Agreed.
common mistake.
I love that. No, dude, I totally appreciate that. And I think that that's a valuable lesson because I think a lot of people do, myself included. You know, when I was first growing my teams, it was very much, okay, you're too expensive. You're too expensive. All right. I like you. Let's build you up. And
Hmm.
it did pay. I paid a high price for that. You know,
Hmm.
losing a client is hard, but when you keep
Yep.
a client because you've got awesome people there, it's an easy way to grow and scale your operations.
Hmm.
So, what other issues do you see? What are the kind of things do you see kind of in that space, in that world, that you've been able to avoid?
Yeah, I'd say one of our biggest kind of pain points, scaling and growing, is just because we are bootstrapped, meaning
Right.
we haven't taken funding from outside sources. So it's like,
Yeah.
hey, how do we fund this scale? I mentioned hiring people before you need it. For every
Yeah.
business owner listening, it's much easier said than done. Hey, we're gonna need a
Yes, it
trainer
is.
in 4 months. Let's hire them today so that way they're already ramped and scaled. That means you're
Right.
just carrying for cost of salary before you have the business to justify it. So
Right. Right.
we've had to become very diligent in what we spend our money on and being very efficient.
Right.
But much more tactical is honestly just payment terms. Things like that is not
Yeah.
um, especially larger customers. They want to beat you up on this end. They want net 60s. I've got business partners, not
Oh,
our business partners. They have 6 month payment terms and it's destroying their business. But they feel like they
yeah.
have to do it. Like unfortunately, it's just business you have to walk away from unless you
Yeah.
have really strong private equity or startup funding.
Right.
So if you find some good
Right.
customers that are good partners to you in payment terms and kind of understand that them paying you on time allows you to provide over the top staffing and over the top quality, it's a pretty good trade off that most customers will
Right.
understand. Especially we're staffing, we're not
Right.
software. I have to pay these people right
Totally.
away. I can't wait 6 months for you to pay me to carry that loan. So,
No, no, that's definitely something that most people don't understand about working offshore is that they're
mhm,
not American mindset. They don't have the understanding of I'm going to put some money away and save it for tomorrow because there's going to be a rainy day. It's very
mhm,
much a hand to mouth type situation in most
mhm.
outsourcing countries.
Very true. Yep. Mhm.
So how did you as you started the client acquisition model and getting people involved in this, again, we're talking about people who know they need help, but they just don't know how to get it. How did you message your company, your service offering, in a way that you were able to capture these new clients at the offset versus what you're doing now?
Yeah, I'd say it's two different. One was a lot just brute force, right? Just me on a computer, another my partner in the Philippines as well. Just us, just hammering LinkedIn, hammering the phones, talking to anyone that would have a conversation with us. And
Right.
because at that point you don't know it's going to work. You don't know you're going to be 4 years from now with hundreds of employees and just kind of rapidly scaling. So you're just trying to convince people to give you a shot and things like that. Where today it's our value is also very structured, right? It's like we have our price is set. We do 2-for-1 hiring in the beginning. We're giving people free agents to try out. We are creating SOPs for them. We've got this huge training infrastructure. So now it's much more structured that where it's like, hey, this is our offering. And we're using automation in different trade shows to get that in front of people. But early on, it's just lots of messaging, just trying to build relationships to let people have a shot, like give us a shot at the business. And then from there, just personally putting in a ton of effort to ensure it's successful. So.
Right. I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it. Now, as you, just kind of in closing, I love asking founders, who is it that kind of helped you through this? Because figuring this all out on your own, especially as a bootstrap founder, is near impossible without making some massive mistakes. Is there someone in your network that you want to give a shout out to that kind of helped guide you or put you in the right places to make this work?
Yeah, so I'll give you the boring answer and then kind of a more mentorish answer. So number one is honestly just my wife, right? She encouraged me to quit, make the leap.
Nothing boring there.
Sold everything. And she's also a 15-year industry expert as well. So she's also in logistics. She's been at Fortune 500 companies running there. So she understands it. Very insightful, probably the perfect person I can ask question. And she actually just came over. She's our VP of strategy now as of this year.
Congrats.
But I would say more a mentor. I've probably my closest friend who's also a COO, CMO of Zoic, a guy named Tyler Bishop. Incredibly intelligent, very, very smart. They support publishers and help them get their ad spend up and things like that. They use some AI and machine learning to do that. But he's always a quick phone call if I need a problem solve or workshop something.
I love it. I love it. And I just want to put out there into this space of listeners, if you don't have someone like that, if you don't have a peer or someone who can kind of guide you through some of the mistakes you're seeing, you just don't see them coming because you're focused so much on the business. You need that outside set of eyes to help you through this. So if you don't have somebody like that, find somebody like that. And I'm so grateful that you have that person because the companies that generally don't make it. Mm-hmm. And so I appreciate you shouting him out and I hope that he feels some love. And honestly, what in closing do you have to say to those people trying to grow and scale right now who may be hitting those roadblocks could be the biggest help for them?
Yeah. And I would be curious, just work harder. I know it's like such a typical thing, but if you're trying to scale, put the work in, talk to more people, more outreach, drive more value to the customer. Business is very much what you put in is what you're going to get out, right? Be data driven, 100%. Right. We were talking before. It's like, don't let your ego run your business. Let the numbers run it. And so just measure everything and then put all the effort where the best returns are. It's always been successful from us. We've tried 1,000 things that didn't work at a very low cost barrier, and we just don't force it after that. We just redirect and try something else.
I love it. Love it. Well, great advice. Great interview. Honestly, Nick, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. I know that our audience is getting something very valuable from it. So thank you so much for being here. We're going to put all your contact info in the show notes below. And if anyone's got questions, reach out to him. Even if you're not in his vertical doing the logistics, you might be in BPO in some way, shape, or form. Talk to him. Reach out. I know he'd love to talk shop with you. Thank you so much for being here, Nick.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for being here today on this episode. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. What a great guy. What a great business. We ended up having a great conversation after the call, talking about some specifics of the islands and people that he works with and the industry where he's been able to find the best employees. And I can tell you right now, Nick's got a great business. He's got a great group of people. And I know he's going to continue to grow and scale because he's thinking of the right things, thinking of the right problems, and he's servicing a very specific niche. If you're too general, you may run into problems. But I love the fact that he has built this thing on a backbone of solid clients who love his work, and he's been able to grow internally with these clients and expand his offering to fit their needs. Such a great move. If you're listening to this and you know that you can work more with the existing client base that you've got, do it. Start talking to them. See what they need. Help them out. Help them grow and scale. That is our goal for you. I hope you like this series. I hope you like the shows we're bringing you because we are here to provide extra value for you in your growth journey, and we know we can do it. We know that it's to talking to peers, talking to people who are also in the weeds, running their business, that can help you think of those things that you might run into as a problem, or maybe you're in it right now, trying to get yourself out of a problem that someone else has been in and could help you with. If you haven't heard already, we have an awesome group of peers that can work with you to help you work through these problems. It's called the Captain's Council. Look into it. Check it out, captainscouncil.com. It's a group of other operators, business operators just like you, trying to solve the problems that they need with other peers. It's not a consulting firm. We're not doing trainings like that. We are just providing you the people with other resources to guide you through your growth and scaling journey. It's amazing. It's fun. It's just great to know there's other people dealing with the same challenges you are, and we invite you to come check it out. And we hope you continue listening to the Growth and Scaling podcast. Please share, like, and subscribe. We love to have you as part of our community, and we'll talk to you later.